Hello, my name is Jim Morningstar. I'm the director of InWellness. It's my pleasure to present this Life and Wellness series to you, a series of 12 classes covering the 12 elements of the wellness wheel, a comprehensive journey through 12 essential elements of our lives in order to maximize our effectiveness and joy as human beings. Each class will present life-enhancing information on one of the 12 areas, plus exercises to help ground the principles of healthy living in our bodies and minds, as well as practices we may engage between classes to install the new habits we choose for our well-being. The first area of self-examination is foundational to all that follow: self-responsibility and love. What does self-responsibility and love mean in your life? Here is the perspective of the wellness inventory. Self-responsibility and love are primary expressions of life energy. Together, they form the supporting pillars of wellness and encourage the free flow of all other types of energy. If either principle is weakened, living harmoniously becomes more difficult. When both are strong, energy dances back and forth like two strong legs supporting our body. Balance and forward movement is easy. Self-responsibility means taking active steps to knowing and getting what you want. It's the yang, or the active principle of life. Discovering your real needs and finding ways to meet them directly. Realizing that you are unique and the expert about yourself. And expressing yourself, both your ideas and feelings, in ways that effectively communicate to other people who you are, what you need, and what you know. Love means accepting and caring for yourself just as you are now, connected to all life. It's the yin, the receptive principle of life. Listening to your own heart, treasuring your uniqueness and your inner wisdom, and loving yourself without necessitating any changes in your essential being. Experiencing yourself as your own best friend, and remaining faithful to yourself, especially in the rough times, and realizing your connectedness with all things. With a balance of self-responsibility, self-improvement, and love, self-acceptance, as the foundations of our being, living and wellness are synonymous. As we take this journey of well-being together, each of us must find our optimal balance and inner wisdom, knowing when to take charge, make changes, and when to adapt and go with the flow. Life gives us opportunities to do both each day. If we continually lean too far one way, pushing ourselves too much, or the other way, laying back too much, it's like hopping down the road of life on one leg. After a while, we get tired and give up. To progress, we must strengthen and use both legs cooperatively with equal grace. Wellness is a dynamic process because there are seeming contradictions to be resolved, apparent oppositions to be integrated, infinite shades of gray from which to choose. Even though you're connected with everyone else, you're also very much alone, and singularly must make your own life and death decisions. This section of the Wellness Wheel explores how to live your life with self-responsibility and love so that any burdens can be transformed into opportunities, and questions become the impetus for experimentation, for learning, for trusting, and for loving this magnificent and paradoxical creation, yourself. Some of the other polarities that can challenge us daily include caring for ourselves versus caring for others, alone time versus socializing, material versus spiritual, play versus work. Our minds always divide life into polarities. But it doesn't give us automatically the wisdom to choose what's right for us. Theoretically, many choices we face could be potentially good or bad for us. Our heart intelligence, perhaps labeled as instinct or intuition, which is being identified and researched more each year as emotional intelligence, helps us identify what choices fit our unique life path the best at this time in our lives. Are you willing to stroke yourself in the midst of your vulnerability rather than just in spite of it? Can you believe that it's okay to sometimes be out of balance, vulnerable, or in need? That it's okay just to be as you are, a glorious series of contradictions at times. The process of high-level wellness does not preclude an occasional bout with illness. If we view sickness as an evil to be eliminated under all circumstances at any cost, we make death the ultimate enemy. This can lead to believing that the quantity of life is more important than its quality. Our culture emphasizes independence and self-sufficiency, overlooking the reality of our interdependence at times. Many diseases actually result from the isolation and loneliness that are fostered by this mistaken view of reality. The supermom or Mr. Perfect, who appear to have no needs of their own, are frequently the ones who get cancer or who have a heart attack without warning. The problem with trying to give more than you receive is that the balance of give and take is upset. There have to be enough people willing to receive in order for people to be able to give. We can practice becoming part of the great give and take, to practice receiving graciously rather than appearing to have no needs. These are skills that, in acknowledging your vulnerability and interdependence as a member of our species, will weave you more strongly into the web of our shared lives, and hence enhance your wellness. Other life areas for the self-responsibility and love section include giving yourself sufficient sleep regularly. Here's where your desire to push or accomplish or just distract yourself from what you think you should do can override self-nurturance. Sleep deprivation. From national and international studies, including military sleep experts, some of the potential health costs from long-term sleep deprivation are an increased risk of diabetes, heart disease, breast cancer, obesity, hypertension, accelerated aging, nighttime heartburn, depression, and memory loss. Sleep deprivation may account for as many as 100,000 auto accidents each year in the U.S. Most adults need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep each night. Teens need even more. When we don't get adequate rest, we accumulate a debt. We keep ourselves chronically awake by carrying undue stress. We've forgotten how to genuinely relax, not only before bedtime, but throughout the day. Here is a well-researched technique for changing these patterns. It's called the Quick Coherence technique from HeartMath. The Quick Coherence technique is a simple, easy way to interrupt the stress response and quickly bring your body-mind system into coherence, or an energetically organized state. The 3 steps of the Quick Coherence technique are, first, heart focus. The first step is to focus your attention in the area of your heart, and you can place your hand over your heart to help. Second step, heart breathing. The second step is to pretend you are breathing through your heart. Breathe slowly and gently to a count of 5 or 6 on the inhale and 5 or 6 on the exhale, until your breathing feels smooth and balanced. Do this for about 1 minute and just notice the changes. Step 3, heart feeling. The third step involves positive feeling and attitudes. Now continue to breathe through the heart area and find a positive feeling, like appreciation for someone or something. You can recall a time when you felt appreciation or care and re-experience that feeling. It could be for a pet, a special place in nature, or an activity that was fun. Once you have found a positive feeling, sustain this feeling by continuing your heart focus, your heart breathing, and heart feeling. The next area of self-study suggests embrace your well-being regardless of your current health condition. Wellness describes the quality of natural health or well-being that is fundamental to human beings. This quality of wellness is not dependent on physical well-being for its expression. It's an unconditional state of being that may be obscured but not destroyed by illness. It is therefore possible to discover well-being even in the midst of a serious or chronic illness. Diseases and symptoms are not really the problem. They are actually the mind-body's attempt to solve a problem, often a message from the subconscious to the conscious. Wellness is never a static state. You don't just get well or stay well. There are many degrees or levels of wellness, just as there are degrees of illness. No matter what your current state of health, you can begin to appreciate yourself as a growing, evolving human being and allow yourself to move with love and compassion towards a happier life and a more positive state of health. Next, take responsibility for your health and well-being rather than blaming yourself for problems. We waste much of our valuable life energy by burdening ourselves with guilt and blame. I should have done this. I shouldn't have said that. It's a currency of our culture used to manipulate and control people, usually when they are young and small. Taking responsibility for choices that may have resulted in an illness or an injury doesn't mean taking on blame. There's a big difference. With blame, you berate yourself for not being perfect, or burden yourself with guilt that creates more stress. In taking responsibility for a problem, you accept that while you may not have intentionally engineered your present life situation, and you may, in truth, be able to point to this or that external as a contributing factor, yet you alone are responsible for how you choose to respond to the situation. Regardless of how difficult the challenge that you are facing may be, if you can accept, with love and compassion, that there is a lesson, perhaps even a gift to be found, you can release blame and embrace the process. It is in fact irresponsible to burden yourself with neurotic guilt and blame. They make you much less resourceful and able to make corrections to improve your state, as well as the lives of those around you. Nor should you turn over responsibility of your health to others. The general attitude of, oh, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, or you do it for me, seems easier initially. We appreciate that the training of a healthcare specialist gives him or her a special skill. Experts are useful in all aspects of life. But the problem is not that we use experts. The problem is that we often shift all responsibility to something outside of ourselves. When we do this, we don't have to suffer the guilt that might follow upon failure. Oh, it's their fault. We remember only too well the terrifying admonition, you'll have no one to blame but yourself. To take charge of your own life and health implies taking calculated risks. It means recognizing that you have choices and carries with it your willingness to live with the corresponding consequences of those choices. For instance, in order to meet a deadline, you may place yourself under prolonged stress, neglect your diet, and forget your exercise. These are your choices. If they are short-term, you'll probably bounce back easily. But occasionally, they may result in a cold or some other condition that sends you to bed. Are you responsible for the cold? Yes, at some level you are. You may have no conscious awareness of it, but you create the condition that weakened your body and made it ripe for dis-ease. If you choose to take responsibility, you may accept the cold as an important message from your body and use it as a chance to rest and rebalance. Next, be an active participant in any medical care you receive. Many of us are reluctant to take responsibility for our illness because we have lost touch with our reservoirs of knowledge and intuition, our physical body signals, both internal and external, and our gut-level emotional responses. We mistrust ourselves and turn instead to the others who, quotes, really know. The end result is a diminishment of personal freedom. a weakened self-concept, and a power-robbed existence, a high price to pay. To accept responsibility for your health in no way implies that you should never seek the help of a doctor or a healer. To assume this is to misunderstand the concept completely. Your doctor likely has valuable experience and knowledge that you do not have, and can be a fine resource. It's up to you, however, to assert your rights as a consumer in the medical economy, to ask questions, to seek others' opinions, and to accept that you know yourself better than anyone else does. Next, use the experience of pain and dis-ease as an opportunity to reevaluate your lifestyle and your environment. Imagine the many lessons you would learn and the growth you could achieve if you used the experience of dis-ease as an opportunity to reevaluate your lifestyle and your environment. What answers might surface if you pose to yourself the question, why do I need this problem at this time? Could you possibly let go enough to enjoy the rest that the illness may afford? History is filled with examples of individuals who experienced personal transformations as a result of serious disease or crippling handicap. The writings of Helen Keller or the music of Ray Charles, for instance, have inspired millions of people all over the world. Wellness may be encouraged by a physical handicap as much as a vigorous exercise program or a pure diet. Of themselves, none of these things automatically lead to wellness. When used as tools for self-exploration, for education, for growth, everything leads to wellness. Disease is not really the problem. It's more likely the body's attempt to solve the problem, a feedback of sorts that says something isn't working properly. That something is probably much more than cramped, disfigured fingers or a headache over the right eye. As the metaphor of a poem or the images of a dream, these body signals can often be interpreted on many levels. The most apparent says, well, I've got arthritis, and well, mother had it too. Well, reflecting more deeply, however, you might realize that all your life you've swallowed anger and clenched your fist behind your back. With this awareness, the focus of attention changes radically. Instead of determining how many aspirins you can safely continue to take, you ask what other, more direct ways there are for expressing your feelings. Then, you're ready to take the road toward high-level wellness, generously reinforced with the self-compassion and love that will encourage your continuing success. Next, love yourself and other people. In fact, being in love is what it's all about. As you fall in love with yourself, you naturally get healthier. All the do's and don'ts of health education can only build a house of straw unless love is the foundation. When you see love in operation in a relationship, you see trust, accepting of the uniqueness of each person, understanding of differences, and forgiveness of failings. To love yourself is to love your body, your emotions, your intelligence, your spiritual nature. It is to trust, accept, understand, and forgive yourself. The challenge is to remember that love is all around you and to open yourself to receive it. Love is not out there waiting to be found. It's within you, wanting to be recognized and expressed. All things in the universe are connected. All things in the body are connected as well. There is simply no place where the body starts and the mind stops. No place where the universe starts and the individual stops. Finally, love means being compassionate with yourself. As you begin to realize how many things affect your state of wellness, you may at first be overwhelmed, thinking that you have to do something about each of them. But the connectedness of all things actually makes this whole business of living wellness a lot easier. As you breathe better, you move better, you digest your food better, and you relax more deeply and develop greater self-awareness, and the associations multiply. When this happens, we appreciate one of the basics of wellness, that it's all one process. The challenge of living well is the challenge of becoming the clearest, most loving, most aware channel of energy you can possibly be. To do so means to become a natural alchemist in the highest sense. It's to become a transmuter of energy. It is to transform yourself. Finally, acknowledge that your well-being is interdependent with that of the planet. Moving one step beyond familial wellness issues, we come face to face with our responsibility for the neighborhood, the city or town, the county, the state, and the country in which we live. The more we express consciousness and accountability in our own lives, the more we will see and enjoy our interdependence with one another. A beginning may be as simple as getting to know who your neighbors are, which easily extends to working together and protecting our shared local environment from overdevelopment and pollution. Beyond participating in our local community with the awareness that our planet Earth is a precious entity, we can strengthen our willingness to use our resources wisely. Once we begin to view our daily decisions in the light of our awakening sense of responsibility, we learn that almost every individual choice we make is a choice for the rest of humanity as well. When we make our choices with this level of awareness and responsibility, we are promoting planetary wellness. I hope this introduction to our Life and Wellness series opens doors for you to a new chapter in your life of well-being. Through engaging in this process, we've made a commitment to taking the next steps in self-responsibility and love in our lives and the lives of those around us. This is Jim Morningstar for InWellness.